Hello everyone, hope you're doing great. Here we are, almost at the end of 2020, and we've just got the data mine 2 days ago for what's coming in Pokemon Masters in January. And from what I can see, it's gonna be a crazy and dangerous month. Crazy and dangerous for our wallets, that is, if we're not careful. Because we have a lot of scout banners coming up. I mean, just look at this list. Just look! It goes on. I've put these scout banners into a calendar, and this is what it looks like. We start with N's Pokefair Scout on Christmas Eve. Then moving on to the new year, we're gonna have 4 5-star guaranteed banners for specific regions. Kanto Johto starts on the 28th, Hoenn and Sinnoh starts on 29th, Unova on 30th, and finally Kalos and Alola on the 31st. There's sort of like a countdown to the new year, and all these banners goes away on the new year reset in the game. Now all 4 of these banners are 11 scouts and can only be scouted once. It's expected that these banners will cost 3,000 non-paid gems to scout, so you can use your free gems or paid gems on these banners. Following that up, right from the New Year reset, we're gonna have 4 new banners also. The 5-star Select Special Scout 15 and 25, Seasonal Lillie's banner, and Seasonal Lance banner. Both the 5-star Select Special Scout is expected to cost paid gems, and from the name, I think it suggests that we can choose a specific sync pair. I'm not entirely sure, we'll have to wait to find out. Seasonal Lillie and Seasonal Lance Scout will be accompanied by their Tiered Scout, which is similar to the ones Christmas Skylar and Erica has. On the 7th, we will have a double feature Spotlight Scout for SS Alessa and Volkner. On the 14th, we have May's Spotlight Scout and the return of Licia, Wally, and Phoebe, all in one single banner. Phoebe's Sync Grid should be released alongside with this banner. And May's Spotlight Scout is actually split into 2 banners, a regular one and a 6 sync pair draw banner that costs paid gem and limits 3 draws. On the 17th, we get Wallace and SS Grimsley's banner. Wallace gets his 6-star EX here. And on the 21st January, we get Mallow's Spotlight Scout. It is also split into 2 banners, similarly as the May's banners. There you go, the whole month's schedule. Looking crazy and dangerous to you yet? But even though there are so many banners cramping the calendar up, there are only 5 new sync pairs. Today let's have a look at these 5 sync pairs and decide how are we gonna plan our spendings for this new year. We start with the highly anticipated arrival of the king, Natural Harmonia Gropius, or N for short. A lot of players have been begging DNA for the arrival of N, and he's finally here, with his legendary partner Zekrom. Zekrom is an electric type physical striker. With good attack stat at 392, he also have a good special attack stat that is irrelevant because he has no way of utilizing it. HP and defenses are pretty standard for a striker. His speed is really low though. At 194, he's even slower than a certain Fire Tortoise. That would be a problem because Zekrom's attack move all cost 3 to 4 bars. That speed stat will make Zekrom hungry for gauge most of the time. DNA does try to circumvent that by giving him 2 passives and a trainer skill that somewhat remedies the situation for Zekrom a little bit. Its passives are Entry Freebie, which makes Zekrom's next move cost no bars when Zekrom enters a battle, Sync Freebie, which makes Zekrom's next move cost no bars after using a sync move, and Piercing Blows. Piercing Blows allows Zekrom to ignore passive skill that would reduce the damage of attacks, ignore passive skill that protects the target against critical hits, and the opponent cannot endure the attack. This would mean that passives like On the Ropes, Dragon Guard, and Vigilance doesn't work against Zekrom. This is probably to mimic Terra Vault from the mainline games. Zekrom's moves are Bolt Strike, an electric type physical variant of Hyper Beam with lower move power, X Attack, Outrage, and Ideals will prevail, which sharply raises the user's speed and raises accuracy and lowers the user's defense. If the user doesn't have a sync buff, it also powers up the user's next super effective attack. It doesn't say how much and does it affect sync move though. This is a weird effect. You would think that you want it to power up your move after having a sync buff because you'll only be without a sync buff for a short period of time in battle. And then again, it only powers up super effective hits. It makes me confused a little bit. Zekrom's grid does share some similarities with Zacian's grid. It has no damage multiplier at all for his strongest attacking move. Paralysis Synergy and Confusion Boon is tied to Outrage, and there's only a minimal power up for Bolt Strike. However, Zekrom does get 6 Sync Move power-up tiles and Static Shock 3 to augment his Sync Move damage. The 1-5 grid wouldn't provide much boost for Zekrom. You only get a move point refresh for X attack, a move gauge refresh for Outrage, some stat increase, some minor power-ups and lit. It's at 2-5 where you unlock Confusion Boon and Paralysis Synergy for Outrage, a move gauge refresh for Bolt Strike, and 2 Sync Move power-up tiles. This is where you can start to play around with some strategies for Zekrom. At 3-5, you'll unlock most notably the rest of the Sync Move power-up tiles, Adrenaline 1 and Static Shock, which allows Zekrom to be a great Sync nuker. Clear Head is gonna be a waste here because if you're gonna use Outrage, you'll want the boost from Confusion Boon, so you're better off getting any levels of Lessened Confusion as your lucky skill. If I get a 3-5 Zekrom, the grid setup that I would go for would be just that, a Sync nuker. 6 Sync Move power-up tiles, paired with Static Shock to blow the opponent out of the water and take advantage of Sync freebie after every sync. This grid would be perfect for me if it weren't for that one remaining energy. I've tried to move things around, but it seems like there's no way I can fully utilize the energy and still get all the key tiles that I want. And it kinda pisses me off a little bit. If Zekrom has move gauge refresh 4 like Charizard, Pheromosa or Zacian, I would throw out the move gauge refresh for Bolt Strike and it would solve everything so easily. Anyways, moving on. Because of that slight imperfection, I would maybe go for a Bolt Strike focus grid. Taking all Bolt Strike power up, you wouldn't need the Bolt Strike accuracy tiles because your trainer skill will fix all accuracy problems for you. So we might as well get more stat boost and grab Lit for the off chance of something like a Stun Spore Executor with Go Viral 9 appears again. You may also consider an Outrage focused sync grid. I wouldn't recommend this grid though because 1. Our halls are decked with viable Dragon Strikers while we only have 1 physical Electric Striker, and 2. Even with the boost from Confusion Boon and Paralysis Synergy, I still don't think Outrage is gonna outdamage Bolt Strike by much, if it does at all. You will need an Electric weakness on the opponent to push it higher than Bolt Strike. Seems like a lot of work for me, but hey, play the game whichever way you love it. And any way you play it, Zekrom would be a great addition, even though it doesn't have the level of self-sufficiency that Red has, because Zekrom still need gauge and crit support. Another great support for Zekrom comes in the form of Electric Terrain provided by Voltner to further boost Bolt Strike's damage by 50%. If you're going for the Outrage grid, Voltner can also provide you with the Paralysis. Now both these sync pairs are available for scouting in January. Give Zekrom all the support and he'll punch hole in steel walls for you. Now all you need is the luck and the gems. Moving on, we have New Year land set Gyarados, which funny enough is a flying type physical striker. It is classified as a physical striker but actually has a higher special attack stat, and its most powerful move is special based. So it's actually sorta like a mixed striker. It has pretty good HP and standard defenses for a striker, a tad faster than Zekrom but still pretty slow. Its passives are Flying Shift, Power Flux 5 and Adrenaline 1. Its moveset is Bounce, Potion, Hyper Beam, and Superior Might. Bounce is like Fly, being a 2-turn move and has a chance to paralyze. I don't understand why these flying type need to have these weird 2-turn moves that doesn't really benefit themselves in the metagame, where we need to run the sync move counter down quickly. Bounce also counts as a quick move and only has 3 uses and not costing any gauge. Superior Might charges the user's move gauge by 3, raises the user's attack, special attack, and accuracy, and has a recoil of 33% of its remaining HP. This feels a lot like Dragonite. It also has Hyper Beam, Potion, and a trainer move that charges move gauge and causes a recoil. I guess Lance just likes to roll like that. Looking at its sync grid, you can see that Gyarados' water typing still has an influence here. Torrent Tenacity prevents it from getting flinched, confused, and trapped during rain. You have a bunch of rain-related tiles, which includes Refreshing Rain, Shower Power, Racing Rain, and Raging Rain. So Gyarados is meant to be something like a Rain Team Flying Striker, and you can go both ways in terms of attack focus. In the Bounce setup, you will want to take both Bounce Move Point Refresh and Bounce Accuracy up because since the trainer move recharges move gauge, you're not likely to use it right off the bat to raise accuracy. Sync Quickening recharges 1 point to bounce every time you use a sync move, This setup allows you to worry less about running out of move points for bounce while taking advantage of Raging Rain and Racing Rain. Even though Gyarados already is very gauge efficient, Racing Rain can allow your support and Rain Setter to continuously spam their attacks. I would say Gyarados doesn't play well as a secondary striker because with 2 strikers, you still need your Rain Setter, which leaves you with no slot for a support to give you critical hit rate buff, unless your Rain Setter is Swampert. We'll get into Swampert later. The second setup focuses on Hyper Beam, and I would go with something like this. Standard move gauge refreshes for Hyper Beam, Shower Power and Racing Rain to take advantage of the rain. I tried to get Raging Rain too, but it's walled behind 2 bounce tiles and a Pressure Cooker tile, and I don't like Pressure Cooker personally. I don't like the idea of spending 10 energy points to reduce my sync move counter by a miserable 1 point for once a match, so I had to sacrifice Raging Rain. Overall, Gyarados seems okay. Not the best, not the worst. It still needs a lot of support to function well. The thing is, when we already have Blue and Pidgeot, do we really need another special flying type striker, let alone an awkward one where you have to crack your head to put in a team? Maybe upon its release, someone will surprise us with some strategy on how to make Gyarados one of the best striker we've ever seen. I'm missing some angles here. If you see it, do let me know in the comments. The other seasonal sync pair released along with Lance is New Year Lillie and Ribombee. They're a bug type support sync pair. These are some good stats. Once again, if anyone has doubts for defenses on the lower 200s, just remember EV has stats just like these. If EV can take a hit, Ribombee here can too. Ribombee's passives are Team Sync Regen, which casts Regen on all allied sync pair after the user casts a sync move. Q Cutter 1 has a small chance to reduce sync move counter by 1 when an opponent attack misses Ribombee, and Team Outmuscle 1, which raises attack for all allied sync pairs when an opponent attack misses Ribombee. All these passives sounds good, but the chances of triggering for Q Cutter and Team Outmuscle concerns me a little. Its movesets consist of Leech Life, Dire Hit All Plus, Alola Lang Sign, and Move Gauge Boost. Alola Lang Sign blocks status from affecting the allied field of play and sharply raises the evasiveness of all allied sync pairs. I highly suspect that there will be another opponent in the New Year's event that will have some sort of status move with Go Viral 9. Ribombee's role is a straightforward one. Provide crit buff, regen, and move gauge to your teammates, and then evade attack and heal up and stay alive. And its sync grid gives it everything it needs. Endurance, Toughen Up, Leech Life Master Healer, Ridicure, everything it needs to survive. Fail Forward charges move gauge by 1 when an enemy misses an attack. Slippery Slope 9 increases evasiveness when an enemy misses. A lot of Ribombee's play hinges on the enemy missing an attack against Ribombee. As I've mentioned in a previous video, I'm a little skeptical about the evasion mechanics in this game. But at least unlike Rotom, Ribombee here has some form of reliable recovery if the evasion play fails. I would grid Ribombee like this: Master Healer to increase the healing from Leech Life, and 2 Move Gauge Refresh tiles plus Fail Forward 1 to try and mitigate the high gauge cost. No need for Slippery Slope here because I'll be relying on Alolan Lang Sign Refresh to fully increase evasion. Ribombee is very good in my opinion, and it's only the 5th sync pair that can max an entire team's critical hit rate if I'm not mistaken, behind Dusknoir, Meganium, Alakazam, and Blastoise. And if you do get it, it is unique enough to warrant some consideration during your team building. Alright, here comes a very fun sync pair, May and Swampert. Swampert will be the best rain setter that's made available thus far. It has excellent HP, very good special attack and defenses, only its speed is a little on the low side. For passive, it has Raging Rain 3, Racing Rain 2, and Dizzying Power. Its moveset consists of Muddy Water, Rain Dance, Earth Power, and Trainer move is Ready for This, which charges the user's move gauge by 2 and raises its special attack and critical hit rate. After Mega Evolving, Swampert's defenses get boosted to 220, and special attack becomes 367. Its passives becomes Raging Rain 5 and Racing Rain 4, and it loses Dizzying Power. Moveset remains the same. Swampert is one of those tech sync pairs that you can absolutely play as a striker and it would do very well. It already has Raging Rain and Racing Rain. Backed up by its excellent special attack stat and sync grid, you'll have a beast of a striker. On Swampert's grid, most importantly is the Rain Dance move point refresh tile. Most of your strategy in using Swampert will revolve around Rain. The other notable tiles are Power Reserves 4, Hide and Sync, which increases sync move power the more the target accuracy has been lowered, and Inclement Intellect 6, which grants Swampert a great chance to raise its special attack when it's successfully attacked during rain. There are many ways you can have fun with Swampert's grid. Let's start with this Muddy Water Striker grid. Move Gauge Refresh is self-explanatory, Accuracy Power Up to shore up Muddy Water's bad aim, and Dire Hit Rain and Inclement Intellect gives Swampert a bit of self-sufficiency to potentially fully buff crit and special attack by itself. If you don't like Inclement Intellect, you may switch it with Power Reserves 4 as you see fit. Next, you can play Swampert as a true tech, supporting another striker with gauge support and lowering the opponent's accuracy. On a Roll is here to boost the accuracy lowering chance, and Refreshing Rain for survivability. With Raging Rain 5 and Dizzying Power, Swampert is still gonna deal good damage to the opponent. You can also play Swampert as a Sync Nuker. Muddy Water lowers accuracy, Hide and Sync boosts Sync move damage to enemies whose accuracy is lowered. Its Sync move already has a built-in multiplier to deal more damage during rain, and on top of this, Rain Dance further boosts water damage by 50% including Sync move. And don't forget, if you're able to power up Mei and Swampert to 6-star EX, all this damage gets doubled. Entei is gonna cry in a corner if it ever comes back. Another possible grid setup is a Ground Striker. Keep in mind that same type attack bonus isn't a thing in Pokemon Masters, so Swampert can fill the void of a special Ground Striker until a real one gets introduced. You have Sand Shelter to negate sand damage, Surging Sand 5 to boost earth power. The only problem here is that you won't be able to utilize your regular passives in sand. I'm sure there are more ways to grid Mei and Swampert. All things considered, this might be my favorite amongst all the new release characters. And you know what's the best of all? Mei and Swampert isn't Pokefera seasonal. So as you progress and draw sync pairs, someday you're bound to get her. Someday. Alright, last but not least, Mallow and Tsareena. Again, great HP, great attack stats for attack, good defenses. Man, DNA is giving these new units a lot of love. Except for Gyarados. Gyarados is just freaky. Its passives are Confusion Synergy 5, Solar Shield, and Power Posture, which powers up Tsareena's damage the more the target's attack stat is lowered. Its moveset consists of Trop Kick, short for Tropical Kick I assume, Teeter Dance, Mallow Special, and Power Whip. Mallow Special raises speed, accuracy, and critical hit rate. On her grid, we have Pecking Order, Trop Kick Overwhelm, another Power Posture that's tied only to Trop Kick. So with one Trop Kick, you lower 2 stages of the opponent's attack, and with 3 kicks, you can have a fully powered Pecking Order to boost your sync move damage. So I can run a grid like this. Double Power Posture for Trop Kick, plus the boost from Confusion Synergy will enable Tsareena to lower enemy attack while dealing acceptable damage and tear the enemy apart with sync move. Or alternatively, I can take Pecking Order and Solar Flare, bring Torterra and Meganium in to make a grass team. Torterra will be in charge of lowering the opponent's attack and Meganium to provide Sun. With all this boost, it's gonna be a fun time looking at Tsareena's sync move damage. I can also play Tsareena as a Sun Striker with Charging Sun 3 using Power Whip as a main attacking skill. You may choose to let go of Solar Flare here to working Speeding Sun if you're facing gauge issues. Lastly, you may choose to innocently provide tech support for your teammates by lowering attack and spreading confusion. AoE confusion still has its merits here. I'm pretty sure there are more ways we can play with Tsareena's grid, which is what makes her very interesting to me. And there you have it. 5 new sync pairs we will be getting from end of December to January. Definitely some interesting ones to choose from. If I had to rank them based on my personal preference, I would probably have to go with Mei and Swampert as the sync pair that's most interesting to me, followed by Mallow and Tsareena, then N and Zekrom, then Lillie and Ribombee. Lance and Gyarados can keep bouncing for all I care. But I probably wouldn't be scouting any of these. I'm still collecting gems for Christmas Erica. I dumped like 12k gems into that and it has given me nothing. So I just want another shot. Christmas is coming and I feel like it's gonna reward my persistence. How about you? Which banner would you be scouting on? Let me know in the comments. Or if you think that there are some other interesting sync breeds set up for one of the new sync pairs that I didn't mention, also let me know in the comments. I want you guys to know that I really do appreciate your feedback and support a lot. You guys are the motivation that keeps me going. So thanks a lot, guys. I wish you all the luck in your scoutings. Spend wisely, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Merry Christmas, guys, and stay safe.